Hey everyone, I'm Steve here with Brian Sanchez. Good to see you, Brian.
Good to be here. It's funny because we're coming into winter. I don't know when this is going to post, but it's cold outside, so I'm glad to be inside.
Yeah, it is. It was in the 20s today. So we're going to talk about, and you see things, and it's easy to judge people in the gym where I think the common thing is the little skinny toothpick legs. And,
Right.
and what we're talking about is the hardest body parts to build. Well, everyone's different. And I think genetics plays a big part in this because I'm going to relate to my workouts going back to when I was 16, and I had to blast everything to get some size. The strength is going to come, but I had to blast everything to build because I was a hard builder, especially on my legs. You're not. You don't have to go blast your calves every day. And so we're going to talk about the um, hardest body parts to build and why and what can you do and what I do and probably what you do. But um, I really got my feelings hurt again. You know how I get my feelings hurt a lot uh, on social media, one of my channels, and people just say the meanest hurtful things. And so this time a guy says, because I was talking about overtraining.
Right.
And so he said, "You're obviously not overtraining. Do you even work out at all?" And, he said some mean things. Do you even work out at all? Um, you're obviously not overtraining. You don't know what you're talking about. And actually, that is my problem. I've overtrained so much, I've turned myself into a toothpick. And he told me, why don't you go look in the mirror? You're not overtraining. And so I think that maybe I've overtrained so much, I've turned myself into a toothpick. And since I've turned myself into a toothpick, I can't even see myself in mirrors. So
Yeah. You
he didn't
know,
have to, he didn't have to bring it up though. That's kind of mean.
mean people are not nice people. Think of that. That was my Yogi Berra coming out. And,
Oh,
for everybody out there, it's funny when Steve says this, when people take liberties with him. And I'm sure that people have said things about me on our videos. I just don't look at it. Um, everybody, when you're out there and you're taking care of yourself and you're training with yourself, don't listen to the critiques of those fools out there that think they know much more than you do about you and your body. Embrace what you're doing. You are successful, and I can tell that guy, whoever put that comment in here. I train all the
it
time.
wasn't on YouTube. It was on Instagram, I think.
Okay, I train all the time in here. Steve is in here all the time. In fact, he's in here too much. But go
Yeah, I
ahead,
think I
Steve.
overtrained.
I
That's what
think you do.
happened. Yeah. So let's talk about first. Certain people are going to have tough body parts to build, and the tie-ins are different. Some people, there's my biceps, my arms don't look that big, but they're probably an inch bigger, an inch and a half bigger than some people that have low tie-ins. Their bicep is shaped different. It looks bigger than mine, even though if you measure it, mine's going to go, wow, that's kind of surprising. So, and my legs, if I didn't blast my legs, I would look really silly. Even my upper body. If I didn't lift weights, I would look really silly. I'd be a silly looking person. I would literally look like a stick. But for me now, and again, this is genetics, I think plays a big role. I work my legs in the gym in a week, literally 2 to 3 times more and harder than my upper body. My upper body, especially my chest and my lats, they developed for some reason. But everything else, and my lats are pretty developed, but everyone's different. So that's my story. I'm working my legs, and people still on social media, I always laugh. They go, oh, we're not listening to you, chicken legs. I get that one a lot, but it's not from a lack of effort.
No, no, and you can't listen to that because a lot of I can't help but saying body parts and the way your body volumizes and or reforms or recomposes, weight loss, weight gain. A lot of that does have to deal with the genetics of the body. If you want to know what you're going to look like when you're a little kid, look at your parents and look at your grandparents, and you might really start seeing a pattern. Looking at your aunts and uncles, your brothers and your sisters, and everybody's kind of shaped the same. Um, in general, it's easy to say just hit the weights and you're going to develop everything. Now, I don't have necessarily the same issue when it comes to the development of my legs. My legs came along just fine. I did probably I would describe it more as a normal routine with my legs my entire life, but a lot of work in those routines. And now, at my age, and for those of you who don't follow us a lot, I'm 57 now. Now, my legs, I single out one day for legs alone. That being said, I do a lot of movement work that requires my legs to be utilized. And then I separate my deadlifting from my leg day. And that deadlifting does a lot of work on my posterior chain, basically from my hips down in my glutes into my upper hammies. So I do put a lot of time into it to maintain the strength of my leg. And where I think the hardest parts of the body to really develop, not because you can't do it, is the calves and the hamstring. Because when you're looking at what people are doing and trying to stabilize their body and balance their bodies out, almost everybody, let's just use split routine weightlifting systems first off. Almost everybody has 5 to 7, if not more, exercises per muscle for their split routines: chest days, back days, shoulder days, arms days. But when you break down the legs, if you're only doing like a set of some squats, some calves, and maybe some leg curls on your leg day, you're really not attacking them, because there's so much more to those muscle groups than just that. Think of the chest muscle. If you come in and you do a flat press, an incline press, maybe a decline fly, maybe some pullovers, and some body dips. And that's all focused on the chest. Yeah, maybe the supporting muscles are getting worked. You don't do that for your hamstring. You're lucky if you do a set of leg curls. You're not necessarily doing straight leg deads with it, or maybe doing some hip raisers and things of that nature, or working full range lunge. And when I'm looking at squatting for people that are having a lot of trouble with their posterior chain, basically from the waistline down through the buttocks into the hamstring, the squat, it's really important in development of the legs to get depth. And what you see a lot of people do, and I just saw this the other day, is people ego lift. And when they do that, they load up weights and levels of weight that they feel comfortably in control of, but they can't get low enough in their squatting to get past the predominance or the dominance of the quad. And what I mean by that is everybody can sit down in a chair and stand up. We do it every day. We sit down every day. So our quads generally are in great shape. But you kind of got to get to that 90 and maybe a little lower in depth on that squat to really start impacting the entirety of the leg. And I think that's a really important part because almost everybody squats on leg days and or hack squats and or leg presses. So if you're only coming back a little bit and then igniting back up, you're not getting that back side of the leg at a level that you want to. Some of the things I do with clients and myself in order to create that depth, and I'm not talking heavy lifting, is I put things underneath me like little benches and little things that are about 12 inches to 14 inches off the ground, that I make sure that my body taps it so I'm getting low enough and controlling the whole leg throughout the entirety of that movement. I also make sure that, and I can't help but say it, I really truly believe that if you're not deadlifting, you're doing a disservice to your hamstring and your glutes. You need to couple those routines with glute kicks. You need to couple those routines with hip raises. You need to do abduction, adduction styles of movements to get the entirety of those legs. You got to move at angles with your leg movement and work to really develop those legs. Think of the three ways of motion: side to side, front to back, and circular. You've got to incorporate that into everything to really attack that leg. Your leg day shouldn't be a couple of things. Your leg day's got to be a very significant amount of work. And if you're not going to do it on that single day, then break it up throughout the week. So I attack my leg day hard. However, throughout the week, I have a movement day where it's a lot of leg work, and my deadlift day, which I turn into a back routine after because I believe that gets into the lower back as well, really attacks the legs in a different fashion. But I will also tell you genetically that everybody in my family has really well developed calves, really well developed hamstrings, really well developed quads. I remember used to look at my father when I was a kid and I couldn't understand what he had in his socks. I didn't realize it was muscle. It looked like he had a box in his calf area of his socks. He used to wear those old white pull up socks up past your knees practically. So I think it has a lot to do with that. So for me, the toughest area, backside of the legs, hamstring, calves. If you are not getting what you need out of your calves, you have to do various exercises, multiple exercises on those calves and start exhausting them at a level that you know you're shredding them. And they take a tremendous amount of work. Sitting on a calf machine and doing 3 to 4 sets once a week is not going to develop them for most people at a level that you want, where you'll be satisfied with a calf muscle that looks like your upper body. And that's where that whole chicken wing thing come or chicken leg thing kind of comes into play that people like to pick on Steve about. That's not what Steve's doing because he's always crushing it in here. But you have to put the time and the effort into it, or you just have to be genetically blessed.
Yeah, and I think your calves are something that you can work more. And my workout for my lower body, and again, that's especially for older guys, I guess. And I'm in my 60s, and but I've done a lot of squats in my life, a lot of heavy squats, a lot of deadlifts. So my Monday I do front squats, and I do legs Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I'm always doing step ups. I'm always doing step ups in between sets. So I'm like front squats and some lunges on Monday, but in between those sets, I'm doing step ups. I got a big block there, and I'm doing step ups. And I work my hamstrings the Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I work my calves 5 days a week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I'm about 20 to 25 reps, about 5 to 6 sets every day I'm in the gym on my calves. Now, you have to also realize there is a such thing as overtraining, and we're going to do a video on that as also, after this one. But it's hard to overtrain your calves because it's a very conditioned muscle. And you just got to understand your body on when you're doing too much, and you grow when you have that time off. Your body's recovering. So Wednesday is deadlifts, and I do sumo deadlifts and I do conventional deadlifts with the step ups in between. Um, and then Friday, I'm to leg press, hack squats, and I'm also doing sissy squats with no weight in between all those sets, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, um, with my step ups. So I'm getting quite a bit of volume on my lower body, and that is what's more difficult for me. My chest, I don't have to work that much. I was a skinny kid. I mean, you can see my ribs right here, but you can't now. And I work my shoulders 3 times a week. not the intensity level I work my legs, but my shoulders 3 times a week in different ways. And then the rest of my upper body is just Tuesday and Thursday. And it's not that intense. So, and I don't need to do as much to try and keep my upper body up as I have to do on my lower body. So, we need to emphasize that everyone is different and everyone's going to have that tough body part, and yours is going to be different than mine. Yours is not your calves. Mine
Right,
is.
right.
And when I was a kid, I used to wear the long tube socks so nobody could see my calves. I mean, you could still tell they were skinny, but at least they're lean, right?
Yeah, they are. They're shredded, bro.
Yeah. So, anyway, everybody, the key is to get the right volume on those tough body parts and don't neglect it. It's so common for people that have tough calves or tough legs, especially older guys. Just, you know what, my legs are so skinny. I'm not going to put the effort in because it's too much work. So I'm just going to work. How often do you see this? Mostly men only working their best body part, their
It
biggest body part.
it happens regularly. It becomes their favorite stuff, and they don't work around their whole body. I think that's a disservice to each of us if we do that. Look, I don't put the volume in the legs like Steve does. In fact, any of my body parts, I try to hit the zones once a week, but I do all the movement work with my legs, kind of similar to what Steve's talking about. So I probably work them a lot more than I suggest I do when I think about it. But it's so important to exhaust those legs, or you're going to be one of those people that has a larger upper body and pencils for legs, and you don't want that. It doesn't. It's not going to kill you, but when you really want to, especially as we get older, when you really want to attain your balance, your gait, your stability, your ability to move in different directions, your quickness, your agility, you've got to condition your lower body. Don't neglect it. And if you have questions and you want some ideas on how to blast lower body, to blast calves, blast hamstrings, blast quads, glutes, things of that nature, hips, just shoot us a message. That doesn't take me and Steve but 2 seconds to write up some ideas and shoot them off to you so that you can give it a try and see if it works out for you.
Yeah. And I also push the sled 5 days a week with my calves. I push it and pull it. And it just really seems to give your legs some volume on the inner thighs and just everywhere, the glutes, everything, because you're working when you push a sled, especially with a decent amount of weight, the length of our functional area, and then you pull it, you are working every muscle in your lower body uh, pretty significantly. So,
Right.
Brian, yeah, if you guys have questions, put them in the comments section. If you want to know more about me, you can check out stevemain.com and the different health clubs that we're involved with. So, Brian, thanks for being here.
Glad to be here. See you around, everybody.